Let's talk about a question I've been seeing everywhere lately. Do you wait for the Retroid Pocket 6 or just buy the Retroid Pocket G2? I've been digging into this, reading user feedback, checking specs, and honestly, the answer isn't as complicated as it looks. The Pocket G2 runs on the Snapdragon G2 Gen 2, and this chip is tuned more for efficiency than power. It handles PS2, GameCube, and Wii really well, and even lighter Switch games are playable. I expect a performance increase in Switch once the drivers get more refined. Performance stays stable and the device doesn't get uncomfortably warm during longer sessions. Battery life usually lands around 7 to 9 hours. The hardware around it feels refined too. The AMOLED screen looks great. The Hall effect sticks are reliable and the active cooling does its job without blasting heat into your hands. For a $199 device, it feels well balanced. Then there's the Retroid Pocket 6. It is clearly aimed at power users. It will have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which should bring stronger performance in tougher workloads, especially Switch emulation. Expect performance similar to Odin 2 Portal, but that also depends on how well the cooling will be in the Pocket 6. You also get a 120Hz AMOLED screen, which makes menus and motion feel smoother. On paper, it's the stronger device, no question. That extra power does come at a cost though. Higher performance usually means higher battery drain and more heat, especially in a smaller handheld. And while the price jump isn't huge, you are paying more and waiting a long time to get it. For most retro systems, the performance difference between these two devices isn't massive. PS2 and GameCube titles often run at similar frame rates on both chips. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 pulls ahead in harder Switch games and more demanding setups, but for the stuff most people actually play, the experience feels very close. And I believe the performance will improve over time with driver updates, especially the Switch performance. The Retroid Pocket G2 is using a newer Snapdragon G2 Gen 2, and early on there are some driver quirks, mainly with Switch emulation. Stock drivers can show small visual issues, and while turnip drivers help, they can lower performance in a few games. This isn't new though. We've seen the same thing happen with other Snapdragon handhelds at launch. If past Retroid devices are anything to go by, the Pocket G2 should see noticeable improvements by the time the Pocket 6 is even widely available. So this comes down to how soon you want to play and what you actually care about. If you want a handheld right now that handles most emulation easily, the Retroid Pocket G2 makes a lot of sense. It's efficient and doesn't feel like a compromise. Waiting for the Pocket 6 only makes sense if you really want that extra headroom for heavier emulations, care about a 120Hz display, and don't mind waiting for a few months to get your hands on it. If I had to choose today, I'd buy the Retroid Pocket G2 and start playing. It already does the job well, and by the time the Pocket 6 is fully available, there will probably be something else competing in that space anyway. Specs are nice and all, but time matters and the G2 delivers where it counts.